This is the GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers, that is 2 3-page essays on the themes of Masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. This is flyer number 389, part 2, entitled A Boomer Masculist Looks at Black Pillars. Carrying straight on. It will take some years for society, particularly young people in their 20s, to learn the following lessons, and hence repair their mistakes, particularly on the part of young women, who will be told by society, by older women, by older men, that they are only hurting themselves by swiping left most young men. Imagine millions of young women having one-night stands with alpha males time after time. Sooner or later, these young women will learn that they are merely cunts to these alpha males who do not take these average-looking women seriously. These alpha males see these average-looking women as just a one-night piece of variety. These alpha males are interested in the variety of sexual reactions coming from a stream of women, curious to see how one woman reacts sexually compared to other women. If an alpha male comes across a highly sexed young woman, then that might be a thrill for him for a while, but soon he will be bored and dissatisfied with her average looks, her average intelligence, the level of boredom she generates in him, and will soon dump her for another female sexual experiment. The average young woman will be taught by society that they are merely experiential cunts to such men, to be pumped and dumped, to be ravished and then discarded as the inferior beings that they are to such classy alpha males. This experience of being pumped and dumped by alpha males is crushing to such women, who then complain bitterly to their friends and to society that such a thing is going on. To the alpha males, to be selected by such a high proportion of women is flattering to their egos, and especially to their penises, who then may spend a few years pumping one average woman after another, experiencing the thrill of variety, of differences between sexual styles of women, comparing the high libidos of some women with the run-of-the-mill libidos of most women. The average young woman will learn in time that one-night stands with alphas is not a rewarding experience, even though at first the idea of cunting an alpha male, having some dreamboat inside her, may seem thrilling at first, satisfying her unconscious hypergamous instinct. But she will find after a time that the aftertaste is bitter, since she is virtually always dumped afterwards. Since why would an alpha male settle for a beta or gamma female when, if he really wants to have a serious relationship with a woman, he can do so much better for himself, since he is after all an alpha and can have the pick of the female crop. To the alpha, he too, in time, will become jaded with the repetition of one average Jane after another, one shallow one-night stand after the other, until he gets thoroughly sick of it and decides that he is worthy of more than just the superficial one-night stand regime with a string of mediocre females. So, I'm predicting, after a couple of years, admittedly of real pain for the black pillars, that a form of re-equilibrium will be reached in which young women will become more realistic in their left and right swiping, having learned the lesson that it is better that they swipe right those young men who are on the same level as themselves, so that the odds are lower that they are only going to be pumped and dumped and have their egos shattered, destroyed, crushed, which is an extremely painful experience to be avoided by average women in the future. Slightly older women will then be writing magazine articles about how soul-destroying it is to be pumped and dumped by alpha males, who are really only sharks to such average women, mere cunt collectors, out to add to their notch count of libidinal experiences. In time, that is, over the several years needed for this societal learning process to unfold, The alpha males will get sick of penising a string of beta and gamma females, as well as learning the hard way of the cost of getting an STD, that's sexually transmitted disease. There are 100 million Americans who have herpes, a viral disease that destroys one's sex life, since young women don't want sex with someone who has herpes, even if he is an alpha. Over the same time, young women will tell somewhat younger women not to be pumped and dumped by an alpha male, since it will only lead to emotional pain in having one's female ego crushed by being treated as an inferior female, which is, nevertheless, the reality, since an alpha male can hook up so readily with an alpha female, and it is this objective reality that is so painful to the average woman. She cannot deny that the alpha male has the option to dump her easily in favour of a superior female. Very negative truths are the hardest to swallow because they cannot be easily rationalised away. The reality of the situation keeps coming back to haunt average women. So after, say, 5 years, a new equilibrium will probably be restored in which young women choose to swipe right a much higher proportion of men, hoping to get a man who is at about her level, so that the probability of him pumping and dumping her the way an alpha male would is much lower, so that she has a much better chance of forming a longer lasting relationship with a man of her level of attractiveness. The alpha males will learn the lesson from reading the written and videoed experiences of other older alpha males that after a string of cuntings, the emotional superficiality of penising young average women becomes soul-destroying and should not be attempted. Alpha males will then be less likely to want to penis a string of average women, preferring to form more substantial relationships with women at their own level, with whom these alpha males feel are worthy of them, at a similar level to them. For example, the way a highly intelligent male would much prefer to have a serious relationship with a woman of comparable intelligence, rather than just pump a female of mediocre brain to test out her libido level, to see how gushy a squirter she is, or how many times she can come in a night, etc. The alphas have the option to do such testing, such experimenting, that beta and gamma males don't have, or have much less, due to their lower attractiveness levels in the eyes of women. But even alpha males in the near future will probably not choose to remain in such a female sexual variety search for long, due to its emotional shallowness, its emotional and relational poverty, and will choose instead to pair off with women who are much more their type. It's not for nothing that one sees couples who are well matched in terms of looks, ugly with ugly, pretty with handsome, tall with tall, short with short, etc. In summarising, I don't see a quick solution to the horrible hypergamous nature of women and e-dating problem. And as a result, millions of young men will truly suffer over the coming few years until the above lessons spread throughout society. Since young men are young, unlike boomer masculists, for example, they do not have the life experience to see that their problem is only temporary, no matter how painful and depressing it currently is for them. The current sexual and relationship status quo for young people cannot last, since it is causing so much emotional and sexual trauma to both sexes. So it is only a question of time before better sexual and dating norms are created, in which young women learn to be more realistic in their selections, so that men are given a higher chance of being selected, thus giving men more opportunity to get attention, affection and sex from women, which most men really want. In short, young men are in for a lot of pain in the short term, but hopefully it will not last more than a few years as the new lessons above spread and take hold in the culture. So to young men, hang in there. It will pass. You will, in time, get the hearts and the pussies of the women you want. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Author of the book Masculism, Men's Rebellion Against Being Manslaves to Women, an e-textbook of 380 plus Masculist flyers for men's studies courses. Freely downloadable in Microsoft Word format from my website. Ciao.